Hola amigos de Red Latina, how are you guys? We have a special interview today with an arborist, specialized here in the county. And he's gonna let us know more about what happened when the trees die, zombie trees. See, you see? As presenting, uh, let's find out how to tell if a zombie tree is dangerous and why. So let's see where specialized right here. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fine, Thomas. Thomas Bishop, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, tell us what's going on with this problem with the trees here in
So,
the area.
okay. So zombie trees are basically trees that are they're alive on the outside, but they're basically dead on the inside. You're gonna see with zombie trees are pretty distinctive. There's some things that we're looking for. We're looking for trees that are kind of cracked. We're looking for heavy canopies. We're looking for discolored foliage. We're looking for root problems. We're
Mhm.
looking for trees like that. Those trees
Okay.
really kind of stand out.
I
Uh,
look pretty for Halloween, but yes,
they're
apparently this one is really dead.
that thing is going to fall down eventually. I mean, you look at trees like that, and eventually they will fail and they will cause some type of damage if they're near a house or a car or any type of any structure anywhere where they can be. They could cause some damage.
Yes, I can tell. And especially the weather that we have in Missouri, that is coming, the cold weather. Uh,
Yep.
what we should do to keep them safe and why? Well, first question. And second question, why they die? ¿Por qué se mueren los árboles? Why?
Why do trees die? I mean, a tree's a living organism. It just can't live forever. Um, it's basically a plant. I mean, it's only going to live for so long. There's certain species of trees that'll live for a long time, then other species of trees that just won't live for a long time.
Mhm.
You know, so I mean, the key thing is basically you want to have an arborist out there, just a certified arborist out there, just to look at the trees to see if there's something going on. Um, there's so many factors with trees. I mean, the environment's a big factor, insects are a big factor, diseases are factors. Where we are in Missouri, tornadoes are a factor. I mean, it's just strong winds, sheer winds are a factor. All these are factors of where what we're looking at when we're looking at a tree.
Yes, and I was searching as well that the humidity of the soil, I mean, la humedad, it can kill a tree, puede matar un árbol. How humid it, or how often you place water on a tree, it all depends of the weather, no? If it's a hot weather, of course, you're gonna put more water often, and right now that is not that the rainings are going to start and it's really a little start getting chilly, no?
Yeah, I mean, right now Missouri is, especially the St. Louis area, we haven't had a lot of rain. And this is if you look at a tree, it's a big plant that's in the ground that's you're basically getting not a lot of water right now. If you can go out and water your trees right now, that's a huge thing right now, just because it just trees need water. And if they don't, we won't see any problems with the trees this year, but more than likely, what we'll do is we'll see issues next year and the following year. Drought stress is a big thing with these trees, especially our oak trees here in St. Louis. They're constantly under pressure. When a tree's under stress like that, when it's not getting a lot of water, that's where insects come in. That's where diseases come in. That's where eventually stress starts to happen. Branches start to crack.
When it has
Different
few
factors.
or a lot of water.
Yes, it's got to have a lot of water.
So, cuando no tienen mucha agua, los árboles empiezan a craquear, se les puede meter animalitos y se pueden morir. So be careful, guys. Okay, yes. Other than humidity, we have they are being planted out of time. Otro problema puede ser que los plantas fuera de tiempo. What happens when you planting on a no good time?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, we don't plant between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Because what happens is we get too hot and the humidity the tree will transpire too much, and between the humidity and the hot weather and everything else will transpire, and it really puts a tree under stress. We generally don't start planting trees probably at about November, December, because that's when all your roots are adapted. They're basically dormant, and we can dig the tree safely and put it into the ground to another spot. Come into spring when they're starting to be planted again, that's when they adapt to the soil conditions. The soil starts to warm up, the roots are able to start spreading out, and eventually the tree is able to adapt to the situation that it's in.
Bueno, básicamente nos dice Thomas que hay que ponerlos en la primavera cuando se empiezan a plantar, porque si no se te pueden morir. Okay, and what about the nutrients? If the soil doesn't have enough nutrients, si no hay nutrientes se pueden morir. ¿Por qué? How?
Yeah, so when trees don't have a lot of nutrients, you'll start to see, you can basically do some type of fertilization, okay? Generally, we ask for soil tests to see what's going on in the soil. That can let us know if there's nutrients in the soil, if there's not nutrients in the soil, and it'll tell us exactly what the tree will need to try to keep healthy itself. So we recommend that, basically forest trees do very well because the leaves decompose into a soil and eventually will add nutrients back to the trees themselves. The problem is with the trees in urban settings, there's not a lot of nutrients getting back into the soil itself. So the tree could be under a little bit of stress.
And what we can do, exactamente, no hay nutrientes y se mueren, pero ¿qué podemos hacer? ¿Qué tipo de nutrientes podemos poner? What kind of nutrients can we help the tree?
We use it's called Arbor Green Pro, and it mimics the Arbor Green Pro. It's a deep root fertilizer that goes straight into the ground, and it's a 30-10-7. And basically, what it is, it's injected into the soil as a liquid, and that will be good for 1 year. So it's a liquid fertilizer. I always recommend an organic, slow release fertilizer. You don't want to add something very fast because it could put the tree a tree may not take very well to a very fast releasing fertilizer. So you don't want to put the tree under shock. You want to have something that's going to slowly but release the nutrients over a period of time.
Okay. Dice que tenemos que poner fertilizantes, pero que sean líquidos. Él recomienda una marca en especial y también hay que saber qué cantidad poner. It's important to know what quantity of fertilizer we need to apply. Otherwise, it can die, the tree, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, you have to be able to know what the size of the tree. Generally, larger trees need a lot more fertilizer compared to your smaller trees. If you're going to the hardware store and you're buying some type of fertilizer, it'll give instructions on the label on how much you're going to be injecting into that tree based on the size itself, and it'll give you specific instructions on how to inject it.
Es importante leer las instrucciones porque si no, no sabes qué cantidad poner para que cuides de tus plantitas. And how to know when is the time to apply that? When the leaves are what? ¿Cuándo es el tiempo para ponerles fertilizante a las plantas? ¿Cómo sabemos? When is appropriate to do it?
So different fertilizers have different times when you can apply them. The key thing is to read the instructions on the bottle that you may fertilize. With our fertilizer that we have here at Davy Tree, we're able to fertilize all year long. But different fertilizers have different application periods. So I mean, some people like to fertilize in the fall. So it just really depends on what type of product you're putting in. That's really going to depend on when you're going to fertilize.
Gacho. Sí, depende de qué tipo de árboles cuando lo vas a fertilizar. Y tienes que ver también, pues, cómo está el árbol, ¿no? Sus hojitas. What about the fungus or the plagues? Las plagas que se le dan. What can we avoid? ¿Cómo podemos evitar las plagas? How can we avoid when a tree is sick because there are some animals in there or fungus?
Yeah. So basically what you have to do is you have to have a certified arborist come out and take a look at the tree to identify what could be going on. The key thing is proper diagnosis of the tree itself, because you don't want to misdiagnose a tree and treat it for something that it doesn't have. Generally, most of your fungal diseases are in the spring. You'll see that because we're a little bit wetter in the spring. The new leaves are coming out. They're a little bit more sensitive. You can get a lot of fungal diseases. Generally with the insects, it seems like the insects come through more a little bit later in the season. As it gets a little bit warmer, they have different life stages when they come out and attack the trees themselves. So the key thing is to know the life stage of each insect so they can be properly treated. Because if you're not, you can kill an insect, but you have to make sure you know what you're treating at the proper time to treat it.
Hay que saber tratar a los árboles en el momento adecuado y apropiado para que no vayas a matar al árbol, obviamente, ¿no? Y cuándo debes de fumigar y todo esto. Another question that I have here, well, a comment. People doesn't know sometimes that what kind of water they need to use. Some people that use water that is dirty, so they were cleaning, mopping, or doing something, and that water that is dirty, after mopping, they use it to put it in the tree. That it can kill the tree because it has Clorox, or it has some chemicals that are going to kill the tree. So what do you recommend? O sea, hay gente que trapea y usa el agua del trapeador y con eso riega las plantitas o el árbol y lo está matando. Entonces es importante mencionar esto para que por favor no lo hagan. So regular water is the best, isn't it?
Regular water is the best. The problem with, when you're putting different chemicals into a pail, you just don't know what's in that chemical. You don't know what's inside those chemicals themselves. And that could technically hurt the tree itself, especially if you don't know what's in that chemical itself. So the key thing, if you're going to do deep root, we recommend a deep root watering on your trees. Just use regular water.
Okay, nada más agüita, no le echen otra cosa. Now that the winter is coming, how can we protect the trees? ¿Cómo podemos proteger a los árboles ahora que viene el invierno? How?
So I want you to, call a certified arborist, have them come out and look at the tree. He should be able to identify deadwood. He should be able to identify cracks. He should look for structure defects. He could be looking for fungi at the bottom of the trunk. He can be looking for different things that could really harm your tree. So the key thing is to have somebody out that knows what they're looking at, and make sure that they're have your whole property looked at just to look at the trees. If it's the trees are near the roof, have them cleared away from the roof, because we still can get ice storms here in St. Louis. I mean, you don't want that stuff rubbing up against the roof itself. If you have a lot of people walking underneath the tree, make sure that the branches are way up. The key thing is, like you said, to have somebody out that knows what they're looking at, to understand what they're looking at, so they can look at your tree and say, this is what it's going to need to get through the winter itself.
Lo que él recomienda, Tomatos, dice que lo ideal es que traigas una persona especializada para que mire y observe y diagnostique que tiene un árbol y no le vayas a poner algo que a lo mejor no necesita tu árbol ahora que viene el invierno. Entonces, lo mejor es que traigas un especialista. So, okay, if I want to bring a specialized, because a lot of people, especially at the Hispanic community, they work at cutting garden yards, and
yes,
but they're not specialized in trees. They just know about plants and they plant them, but they're not specialized people. And how can we really get the right people? ¿Cómo podemos acercarnos a la gente correcta? Porque luego hay muchos hispanos que trabajan en jardinería, pero no son especialistas. So where can we find these specialized people?
So you can go to the International Society of Agriculture website and look for a certified arborist, and they're going to be able to tell you what's going on. They're going to give you the name of a certified arborist that can do that. You want to make sure that they have the Tree Care Association accreditation. That's a company that's accredited. They have certified arborists on staff. They follow safety protocols. They have the insurance. They're doing everything the way they should be doing. You want to go to the Better Business Bureau. You can go to the Better Business Bureau, look at companies and make sure that they're doing things right, to make sure that you're getting a company that really stands behind what they're saying.
Awesome. And what exactly you guys does in this in the county for the trees?
Do what? I'm sorry.
O sea, ustedes trabajan en el condado de San Luis. ¿Qué es lo que están haciendo? ¿Cuál es el trabajo de ustedes aquí por los árboles? So you are working at the county. What exactly is the job that you guys does?
So we do everything from tree care. We do landscape installs. We do treatment for lawns. We do any tree removals, tree pruning, storm damage. We do root crown excavation. We do spraying for insects. We spray for diseases. We'll do everything but mow grass.
Ok, ellos, bueno, cuidan los campos, les ponen obviamente los nutrientes, fumigan cuando es necesario según la temporada y cuidan los árboles de toda la zona aquí en el condado de San Luis. What happened when you notice that your tree is just one part of the tree is dying, but the rest is good? ¿Qué pasa cuando una parte del árbol está muriendo y la otra parte no? ¿Qué se puede hacer? What you can do on those cases?
Yeah, I think the key thing is, you got to have one of a certified arborist out there because there could be a couple things going on. The roots, if there was some type of construction going on, could have cut the roots. You could have a girdling root, which could be strangling the tree, cutting off nutrients to part of the tree of what's going on there. Also, there could be several factors of why there could be something going on. Maybe the bark was accidentally cut. We just don't know without taking a look at the tree to kind of give you a proper diagnosis.
So, nos está diciendo Tomás que hay muchos diagnósticos diferentes. En este caso puede ser que a lo mejor pusieron pavimento arriba, no le están llegando los nutrientes correctos al árbol. Necesitas traer un especialista para que realmente diagnostique por qué una parte del árbol se está muriendo y no le están llegando los nutrientes y la otra sí. Ajá, ok. What do you recommend? No, I mean, the question is, do you recommend mulch the trees in this season? Si recomienda poner el mulch, las maderitas estas en todos los árboles en esta temporada, do you recommend that?
Yes, I do. I recommend a few inches of mulch, not very much. You don't want to put too much mulch on there, but the mulch will help retain moisture in the soil itself to try to get it through the season itself. The mulch does a good job of doing that. And then it also keeps a lawnmower in weed whackers off the trees themselves from beating up the bark itself. So the key thing is mulch plays a huge role in keeping the lawnmowers and weed whackers up there, and it also helps retain moisture in the soil itself for the tree.
Ok, es importante que sí, que se ponga esto para que la humedad se siga manteniendo y los árboles no fallezcan, obviamente, ¿verdad? And what about the leaves that start falling in this beautiful season?
I recommend you just take a lawnmower and grind them up and let them decompose back into the soil themselves. I mean, that's what I'm going to recommend you do there.
Lo que él recomienda es que las hojas que están cayendo ahorita en el otoño, que con la podadora de pasto las hagas pequeñitas, las cortes así y luego las pongas ahí porque eso fertiliza, eso ayuda con estos nutrientes a tu árbol. Así que mejor déjalos ahí, pero córtalos primero. Okay, we need to cut them first. Good, that's a good advice. What else we need to know?
I think, the key thing is with trees themselves. Every tree is different in every situation. The key thing is, like I said, I keep on going back to this, but that really, if you notice something wrong with your tree, have somebody out that knows what they're talking about so we can proper diagnose it. The problem is by the time that I get a problem with the tree, the problem's already started and it's hard to reverse what's going on. So if you start to notice something early that doesn't look right, it never hurts to have somebody out there. Maybe it's nothing, but at least and if there is a problem, we can at least start to take care of the situation before it can get worse. Because in the end game, you don't want to take the tree down, but if there's a way to save it, then we want to try to save it for you.
Claro, él recomienda que si hay un árbol que está mal, pero que se puede salvar, pues hay que salvarlo. The trees are so important because they just give us air. I mean, come on, we need to save the trees. Nada más nos dan aire, es lo único que hacen los árboles. Son muy importantes que los cuidemos. And honestly, I really need to share that a tree, when you plant a tree, you know that tree, it won't gonna give you shade for you. It's gonna give shade for somebody else because it takes long in order that they grow. But it's something that we need to do for next generations too. Algo que parece simple es que las generaciones posteriores son las que van a disfrutar del árbol que tú sembraste. Any thought regarding this?
Yeah, there is. I mean, basically it takes a long time for a tree to grow. Generally, if you plant a tree, it might be about 8 to 10 feet in general height to begin with. And then basically what happens, it takes about 10, 15 years before you start to see a tree of some size. It takes a long time. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're going to cut a tree down, plant another one in this spot just to take its spot, just so you have a chance, 10, 15 years that it can start doing something for you, because trees play a huge role in our lives every single day, heating and cooling on the homes. You know, there's so many factors of what trees do. I mean, they just do a lot for us. The carbon dioxide. I mean, it just the taking in of water. I mean, it's just they take in so much water, and they really kind of can get rid of water for you. I mean, there's a lot of factors. There's so many more benefits of having them than not having them.
Exacto. Dice que es muy importante, claro que sí, que mencionemos que los árboles son súper importantes, básicos para que sigamos sobreviviendo y para que le baje la temperatura al planeta, para que nos cubran, para que nos protejan. O sea, es muy importante tener los árboles cuidados. So let's take a look on those trees that you have outside that maybe is not in your yard, but nobody's yard is close, but still a tree that it can help you to not just looking good your street, but treats low the temperature of the planet, and with the climate change, climate, weather, and all this that is happening, we need to take care of the trees seriously.
No, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's just I enjoy being a certified arborist because I'm able to help take care of these trees and keep them alive. So I mean, it's just you don't want to be a tree cutter where you're just having to go through and cut every single tree down. You want to make sure that you're properly taking care of them and see what you can do to keep them healthy and keep them adding benefits to us in our daily lives.
Right. And nobody can be more sure that if you plant a tree in honor because you have a baby, and in honor of that baby that you got, your first kid or second kid, whatever, you plant a tree in honoring the birth of your first child, I can assure you that you will never gonna cut that tree, isn't it?
Nope, you're never going to cut that tree. You're going to do everything you can to keep that thing alive.
Exactly, exactly. Sí, le digo que si tú tienes un bebé y en honor a tu primer nacimiento de tu hijo, al nacimiento de alguno de tus hijos, y si tú plantas un árbol, te aseguro que nunca vas a cortar ese árbol. Y me dice Tomás que tú vas a tratar de mantenerlo con vida. Claro que sí, exactly. Well, basically we cover most of the important stuff that always we need to remember, that trees are so important. Nature is really important, and it makes us a better life, even that we don't notice, but it is true.
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Anything else that you need to let us know?
Nope. Just make sure that if you notice, the key thing there is if you notice something's not right with a tree, have somebody out to look at it so we can save your tree for you.
Exacto. Si notaste algo diferente en tu arbolito, por favor, pon atención y busca a alguien que te lo pueda cuidar para que esto no suceda. Thank you so much, Thomas, for the great help that you just provide today. And we are going to be in touch next time for some important announcements that you guys have to tell us. If you want to share something, please let us know, because we want to share this with the community.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Well, basically that's what we now know. Ahora ya sabemos. Debemos de cuidar nuestros arbolitos y tener sobre todo la conciencia y pasarla a nuestras generaciones. Yo soy Cecilia Velázquez. Hoy hablamos de árboles en época de Halloween porque pues hay zombies, ¿verdad? Bueno, pues también los árboles parecen zombies. Eso quiere decir que están muertos y pues vamos a evitar que eso suceda. Muchas gracias y nos vemos en otra entrevista. Síganos en nuestras redes sociales. Gracias. Bye.